Hello, learners. Welcome to your Learning Hub, the Learning Loop. If you are joining me for the first time, thank you for dropping by. I am Swati Sharma, and this is the third video of my beginner friendly Python course series. And if you haven't checked out the previous videos of my beginner friendly Python course series, please go back and check those out so that you're all caught up. Let's dive in today's topic, which is what is an IDE, that is Integrated Development Environment. And why do we need it? What's the purpose of it? And to be honest, it is actually used by all the developers out there. So if you want to code or if you want to write a code in any language, the first step would be to get an IDE on your laptop, an IDE on your computer so that you can start writing the code. So, without a further ado, let's dive in. Before I proceed with this week's video, I will encourage all my learners to follow me on Instagram, The Learning Loop, where I share daily coding tips, quick guides, and the learning schedules. All my video schedules are also posted on Instagram. And also be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel so you do not miss out on any future videos. Alright, so without any further delay, let's quickly dive into today's topic. All right, let's begin our third lesson, IDEs. So before we write a code in Python, we need a place to write it, run it, and test it. And that's where IDEs come in. An IDE, Integrated Development Environment, is a workspace or is an all-in-one workspace where we can write code, run it, debug it, and see results all in one place. Now, in this chapter or in this lesson or in this video, we will learn what an IDE is, what are the key benefits, and in the next video, we will actually install Anaconda, which is not an IDE but a distribution package. To give you an overview, what is a distribution package? A distribution package is something that has bundled multiple things into one place or into one software or application. For example, for Anaconda, we will have Python installed with it. Along with we will have some libraries, and we will discuss more about it. And I discussed in my very first video as well about the libraries. So it will also install some libraries with it that we would need for data science and for other purposes, and the IDEs along with it, and some other extra tools that we would need in order to run the Python. So rather than manually installing Python and then manually installing each and every library and then manually installing IDEs, I will rather install Anaconda and everything is coming along with it. I will also have few IDEs embedded into it, to name it VS Code, Jupyter, Spider, and we will learn all of that. Okay. Let's understand what is an IDE, and let's take an example to understand what exactly the IDE's job is. Let's imagine you are going to make a movie and you are the director of this movie. So as a director, you would need the actors to come and act in the movie. You would need camera and cameramen to shoot the movie. You might also need producer and other people to make the full team and produce or to shoot the movie. And you might also need to book the editing studio after the shooting is done and to polish the final scenes before you actually release the movie. So in a real world, you cannot find all these things in one place. For actors, you have to go in one place, or you have to look for few actors, or because the actor is not going to be one, you have like multiple actors, you have to look for them here and there. Then you have to go and look for camera and the crew members in some other place, and then for editing studio in another place, and which is very time consuming and messy. Right? So let's say there is a movie studio which says, we will give you the actors, the best actors, and we will give you the the camera, the crew members, and everything, and the tools to shoot the movie. And along with that, we will also give you the editing studio to edit the movie and polish the scenes after the movie is shot. Imagine how much time would be saved if you go for that movie studio. You don't have to spend your time looking for actors or the cameraman, the crew members, and even anyone to come and edit the tools. Everything is there, and you can just focus on one thing: is making your movie. The same way, the IDEs help us save the time having everything at one place. That is the code editor, where you can write the code, and the debugger and the compiling. Everything is done in one place. You don't have to go out and look for different tools or spend your time doing that. Rather, you can sit and start coding with just one tool. That's exactly what is an IDE. An IDE is, as have already explained, is an all-in-one workplace where you have everything at one place, and you don't have to go out and look out for different tools and applications to actually run the code or debug the code. Everything is there in one tool. All right. Let's talk about the essential features that every IDE brings to the table. The first up is the code editor. This is where the magic begins. Take this as a canvas where your code comes to life. Now, most of the IDEs comes with syntax highlighting, where your keywords, variables, and errors are color coded. And also comes with auto completion, so that you type less and code more. Next up is debugger. This is like your personal detective. Anytime anything goes wrong in your code, the debugger feature would try and help you point to the exact place where the code might have went wrong. All right, the next up is the compiler or interpreter. Now, this is where the things get a bit interesting. The computer understands only one language: zeros and ones. You and I are not going to sit and write a code in zeros and ones, and that's exactly where compiler or interpreter steps in. Let's say there's a person A who only speaks English, and then there's a person B who only speaks Hindi. In order for them to communicate directly, we have to bring somebody in called translator. So what this translator would do is listen to one person, converts the whole thing, and then say it to the another person. And that's exactly what compiler does. It takes our code and converts it into the computer readable language, so that the computer can understand it and give us an output. We will more dive into what is compiler, what is interpreter, but for now, just understand if your if the code is, or the whole script is being converted and before running, then that's compiler. If the script is converted line by line, that's interpreter. And we will more dive into it in our upcoming videos. But for now, let's keep it little high level on what is compiler and what is interpreter. All right, let's talk about some more features of IDE. The first one, as we say, is the version control, which is also like, I would say, integration to GitHub. That's also a feature, I will say, as most modern IDEs offer integration to GitHub. What is GitHub? GitHub is like a cloud repository of your code. Rather than saving the code on the local machine, you can save it on a cloud. Now, there are many uses of a GitHub. I can maybe make a whole video on it. To give you an overview, GitHub mostly works well if you want to have version control. For example, you make some changes to the existing running code and something breaks. You can always go back to your previous code and, revert the whole thing. So that gives you a version control. So it's just in case you're making any changes, you are bringing in some patches or features, and suddenly something breaks, you can always go back to your previous code so that you have a very less downtime. Also, it also helps like collaborating a team, because when you're working in a huge organization and you're writing codes, those codes are actually very complex and huge, and it's not like the whole person have sitting and written the whole code. There are like 10 people working on the same code. They are just maintaining or working on certain feature or one part of the code, and all the other part of the code is independent of each other, and they are integrated into one code. So that helps in the team collaboration. For example, if that's not the case, I have a code on my local machine and we are all using the same code, but we are just managing some part of the code. Every time I make a change on my code, I have to sit and share the file with the other person to let them know, okay, hey, I have made the change to the code, make sure to use this file. And it's not one person, I'm saying there could be 10 people working on a huge code file. You have to mail or send that change code file to other 9 people. Rather, you have this cloud repository shared among all 10 people. You go, you make your change, you commit the change, and while you have the previous version as well, if anything goes wrong, and if you make any change is published to that particular code, you don't have to go and mail the file to all 9 people, but anytime anyone logs in would know that there's some change made, or there is awareness that the change has been made in the code. So that's what GitHub is, and most IDEs has the integration to GitHub, which will give you the ability to have the version control, which means if anything goes wrong while writing code, you can always go back or revert to the previous version. The next one is the project management. IDEs also offer some file storage in one place, so you can have all the files that you require for the project in the IDE itself, so it's easier for you manage all the dependent files and all other structured workspace. Extensions, so ability to add plugins or bring in the customizations, make it your own IDE. I mean, let's say, what if you want more than just what IDE is basically providing? If you want to add more top-ups to it, so you can customize it, you can add your own plugins. For example, you want to check grammar in your code, in your code comments, you can have a grammar checker installed or plugin installed in your IDE. All right, let's talk about the types of IDEs. The first up is the desktop IDEs, and as the name suggests, desktop IDEs are the local IDEs that you have to install on your computer, or download on your laptop, or then install on your computer. That's the local IDEs. For examples are Visual Studio Code, PyCharm, Eclipse. These are the desktop IDEs that you need to go and install on your laptop. Going up to the next one is the cloud IDEs. Now, the cloud IDEs would be where you don't need to install anything on your laptop and you can code from anywhere. You just need to log in and you start coding. You don't need to have anything installed on your laptop. So obviously that's even more useful, because let's say your laptop crashes, everything's saved on your cloud, right? You just have to log in and pick up from there. So examples would be Google Colab. That is one of the topic of our upcoming videos. ASW Cloud 9, then there is GitHub Code Spaces. These are the examples of cloud IDEs. The next up is mobile and database specific IDEs. And when I say mobile specific IDEs, what I mean is that the IDEs that are specialized for development of mobile applications. Some examples are Android Studio, Xcode, and Flutter. Why would we need mobile IDEs specifically? Is because they give us the testing or building environment that are tailored for the mobile applications. So these IDEs gives us the complete environment for that. The next one is database specific IDEs. Now, when I say database specific IDEs, they would be specialized to manage the database in efficient manner. They would have some specific uh, environment or tools so that I can have my database management done in an efficient way. One of the examples and something that we are going to learn in future uh, for data analysis and data science both is SQL, and we would be using something called as MySQL Workbench, which is database management tool, and that's an IDE. Let's understand why using IDEs can make you a better coder. The first step is efficiency. Obviously, that increases your productivity because you are not juggling around the tools. Everything is in one place and you just start writing the tool. And that's obviously increasing your efficiency or productivity. On top of that, it also helps you automate some tasks. For example, there is certain lines of code that you are going to write every time you start coding, or you need for every other code. You can just make a template of it, and every time you open it, that repetitive task is done already, and you can just launch the template and start coding it from there. So it's going to save your time as well. The next step is fewer errors. We all make mistakes when we are writing a code. A missing semicolon, a misspelled variable name. And instead of running the whole code and then pulling our hair like where exactly you made the mistake, IDE actually gives us a real time suggestions on where we might have messed up. Like, oh, maybe you have not put the semicolon here, or maybe I don't see this variable name anywhere. You need to check that. So IDE is giving us that error detection, a real time error detection. So we don't have to sit and wait, run the code, and understand, oh, that's where my code went wrong, or that's what I've written wrong. And it is messy if you have like 1,000 lines of code, you run it, and you find an error. An error could be a semicolon, and it will take you days or nights to find that semicolon. That's where IDE, if we have an IDE, will point exactly to that location in real time that you have missed the semicolon. So the next step is it's a learning tool. So if you are new to coding, IDE can act as your built-in mentor. It keeps giving you the suggestions, warning messages, also some best practices around some of your codes, and also sometimes may tell you why something might not work in your code. So over time, these hints will help you just not understand how, but also why behind your code. So IDEs just not make you code better, but they also make you code smarter. Let's recap what we learned today. We now know that IDEs can bring together code editor, debugger, and compiler all under one roof, giving you a seamless coding experience. We also explored some other powerful features like version control, project management, and extensibility. We also saw types of IDEs, be it desktop IDE, cloud-based IDEs, mobile-specific IDEs, and database-specific IDEs. We also saw that how using IDEs can boost up your efficiency, can result in reduced errors, and can be a learning companion for both beginners and experienced developers. With that, we come to end of our course, but before we wrap up, let's go over our upcoming videos. So in the very next video, we will go over installing Python with Anaconda. So we will be installing Anaconda, and with Anaconda, we will have Python installed, some libraries installed, and some IDEs like Spider, Jupyter installed. So we will go over Spider and Jupyter as well as we install Anaconda in our next video. After that, we will see or we will go over Google Colab. That's a cloud based IDE where you just log in and start using your Python without any installation needed. Now, that's a powerful tool if you are willing to use machine learning and AI, and how and why we will learn in that video. And the next video, we will see how Python executes your code. It's a compiler or it's an interpreter. And that's a very important feature. That's one of the feature of Python as well. So what we have saw as features for now, that's easy to learn, and that's is open source and free, and others. Now, as I told you, as we go over or as we move forward in our videos, I'll keep sharing more features. So this is one of the features as well that we are going to learn, and for Python, and that's a major one, that if Python is an interpreter or compiler, or how Python actually executes your code. That's it for today, guys. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in next video. Till then, happy coding.